talking, I don't sweat that. If they don't trust me either, I respect that. But she need down the ride, oh, I bet that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is JH. How y'all doing, postal family and postal hopefuls? Today I'm going to talk about the process and the steps that go behind the scenes when you apply to be a carrier for the United States Postal Service. This applies for rural carriers as well as regular CCAs or city carriers. There is a long drawn out process, and you guys probably have experienced it if people that are carriers knows what's going on, but this more so applies to what goes on behind the scenes and what your steps are going to be as you're going through the application process. And I'll tell you why, so you guys have a general idea of a time frame, etc. Now, if you don't have patience for a long drawn out video, then this is not the video for you. I'm going to be extremely detailed, and I'm going to speak from the management's perspective as well as human resource perspective as well as your perspective. Please watch the video in its entirety so that you don't email me later asking me questions that are already in this video, because I'm going to be extremely thorough with you. All right, let us chat, shall we? First things first, you decided to apply to become a postal worker, and you said, man, you know what? I'm going to be a carrier. I'm going to be a city carrier. I'm going to be a rural carrier. You went through the process. You went through the application process. If you're just getting into this, you don't know how that goes, I have a video for that. I'll try to put your card up there for you to see. Then you receive all the good stuff coming back, your background check, etc. Let's just say you're ready for your first day. And your first day that you're coming in is going to be orientation. You're going to get a date for orientation. Welcome to the United States Postal Service. Make sure you come and show up for orientation. That's going to be your first step. If you don't show up for orientation, they're not waiting for you. You can't reschedule it. Very rare you can reschedule it because, you know, you're not the most important person in the world in this big organization. If you don't show up, they're just going to bypass you. And you're going to have to start the application over again. This is truth. This is what it is. You may not want to hear it. This is what's going to happen. You go for orientation. Once you're in orientation, you're going to have somebody show you a video. You're going to be there for at least 6 hours minimum. Fill out a lot of paperwork, etc. The coordinator that's doing your orientation then takes the people, because you're not just going to be in there with just carriers. You may be in there with clerks, maybe in there with truck drivers. They're going to take a piece of paper and they're going to pass it around. They're going to say, all of the carriers, please fill out your information, fill out your station, etc. They're going to ask you for driver's license number, etc. That person behind the scenes is going to send this information to the driving safety instructors. That's me. What I do at that point is I go and I look at this list of 30 people. You have your driver's license number on there. I run your driver's license. This goes on behind the scenes. And we start to schedule days from that point on, because we have to see that people actually showed up. People that showed up get scheduled days to come in for your actual driving test. Now, that coordinator also tells you at that day, if you show up, he will tell you that your station is going to have you go on a shadow day. Okay, shadow day, which means you will have to go in to your station and shadow another carrier. You'll be sitting in the back, you may be sitting in the office, etc. What happens at that point? Let's just say you went to City Station. We're just going to name it City Station. You're working with a full-time regular at City Station. They're gauging you. At that point, they're gauging you. They're gauging your attitude. They're reporting that information back to the manager at the end of the day. One day of shadowing. Okay? This is before you even get to me. All right? Shadow day. Then you get to me. They will tell you to report to your defensive driving course. Defensive driving course. It's a classroom setting. You will show up to your defensive driving course. Don't forget what I just told you about your shadow day. It's going to come into effect. You come in for your defensive driving course. I sit in front of the classroom for 5 hours tops. I tell you all the things that are required in a specific book in order for you to know how the post office works. At the end of that class, I will give you a date to report for your actual driving test. I don't like to call it a test, but your skills. Between the day that you actually had your orientation and the day you have your driving test, it may not be the next day. Don't expect it to be the next day. If you had your orientation on a Monday, we may have our driving courses on Wednesday. That Tuesday is typically, all this depends on your the days of the week, whether or not it was a holiday. So typically after orientation, the next thing is to do your shadow day. Then you report to me. When you report to me end of the class, I pass you a piece of paper and says, this is the report day for you to come in and do your class. Typically, when we actually do the driving test, there might be 3 tops. I believe there's 3 in most situations. 3 different people that are there with us for the whole day per day. 3 instructors, 3 students. That means if you have a class of 30, you're not going to automatically go from the DDC class to the actual driving test. Why do we pass this piece of paper out at the end of the day? Because you guys are going to be like, well, oh man, I got to come in on the 10th. I got to come in on the 11th. We don't want to hear any of that while you're in the class. We just go by order, the names in order. So the first 3 names at top get put on the first set of day, open day. Next 3 names go on the next set of days. Next 3 days go on the next 3 names go on the next set of days. That's how we put it in there. It's no favoritism. It's just put in the system that way. Now, you've come to the class. Let's just say you had to wait 4 days. What are you doing between those 4 days? Nothing but just sitting and waiting. Again, we gave you a piece of paper. You show up, you come do your driving training, and let's just say you passed. 2 scenarios, you passed. Now what do? At the end of the day, I go and I send your station a notice that you passed on your first attempt. Can you deliver mail yet? No. Can you drive the vehicles that you were trained on? Yes. At the end of that day, I've sent it to your station saying that this person, Jeff Jones, did pass. Your station at that point can bring you in to only deliver packages. That's it. You cannot deliver mail yet. They can bring you in to deliver packages. Your next step is to go to an academy, whether it be the RCA Academy or the CCA Academy. That academy is going to be 4 days typically to teach you how to case your mail, sort your mail, deliver your mail, everything having to do with the actual letter mail. That we don't know when that's going to be. Reason we don't know is because my job is specifically to train you how to drive. Somebody else has a job that they have another classroom setting that teaches you guys how to deliver mail. Why don't they just have it back to back? Because some people don't pass the driving portion. So they have to fill up their class. They're waiting for me to say, okay, we have every day. They're counting them up. They got 1 person that passed, 2 people that passed, 3 people that passed. Okay, now we have a classroom of 10. Now we can schedule these people to come in for this class. This is how it works. There's no questions behind it. I'm giving you what happens. You will eventually receive an email that says, please report to your DDC, your academy, your RCA Academy or your CCA Academy on this day. It may start on a Monday, it may start on a Tuesday. And you'll be there for 4 days. You're getting paid for all of the stuff. And then you take those classes. Now, in between the time that they tell you, it could be a week, it could be a week and a half. Only your station can schedule you to work. And again, the only thing you can do is deliver packages, or somebody may, teach you how to case some mail, but you cannot actually go and deliver mail until you've completed the academy. All right. So once you see your defensive driving course trainers or your DSIs, driving safety instructors, we don't have that last date for you to go in. We just input stuff into the system. So don't be mad at your instructors. Now, if for some reason you do not pass your first attempt, now this is not nationwide. I've realized that some places only allow you one attempt. Where I'm located, we allow you 2 attempts. When's your second attempt going to be? We have to fit you in that schedule. Remember, we had 30 people in the class. We have to fit you in on another date. We give you another date to report back. Between the first failed attempt, remember that shadow day you did? Your station can say, don't reschedule. They're worthless. Don't waste the money to pay me to do it again. Because some people go in there and they're just horrible the first day. And this is factual. This is what happens. This is not a debate. And the actual managers say, don't even worry about it. Don't even reschedule them again. They didn't show up, or they showed up late, or whatever the case is. Because again, when you come to me, I'm reporting all this stuff on a computer and I'm sending it to district. I'm sending it to the station managers, the postmasters, everything. This is what goes on behind the scene. I'm telling you from your perspective, what you see and what I'm doing. So they can say they're not even worth it. Don't bring them back. And at that point, now you're just waiting. You're waiting to be put in the system or out of the system. So let's just say they say, yeah, okay, give them a second shot. Okay, cool. Gave you a second shot. You came back and you couldn't pass the second time. What happens at that point? They're going to force you to resign. They're not going to hire you. If you feel like you're in a position where you can't seem to get that right-hand drive vehicle, my suggestion is to put a resignation in before they tell you that you fail. Say, look, you know what? I don't think I can do this. I'm going to put a resignation in right now. I know what I'm supposed to do, but today's probably not going to be the good day. And once we have forms for you, so you could put a resignation in. What that enables you to do is turn around and just apply again. You can apply again. If you fail the second attempt, you have to wait 6 months before you can apply for that carrier position again. See the difference? I'm telling you what goes on behind the scenes. You'll be forced every time you apply for that. It's going to come up in the system. No, no, and no. This is all documented in human resources. You may have had a horrible trainer your first 2 times. If you feel that's your case, put a resignation in. That way you're not bound to waiting 6 months. Okay? Perform at your best on your shadow day so that your manager doesn't have any input on whether or not we should reschedule you for a second attempt. Or if you had a situation where your tire went flat, because if your tire goes flat, you're coming into us. They're going to say, you know what? They used that same excuse yesterday when they showed up late to the actual shadow day. So all of this stuff is contingent upon your actions from beginning to end. Now, you've completed your CCA Academy or your RCA Academy. Then your station can schedule you to come in and work. That's how the process works, pretty much from beginning to end. When do you start getting paid? Can't tell you that. Depends on the week that you start. When do you get your uniform allowance? Typically, it's 120 days after you start. Up until then, dress in what you see other people dress you in or dressing in, if you have the option. You know, just try to be as professional as possible. Find somebody to make some t-shirts and throw a t-shirt on that says Postal Service so you can identify yourself. Unfortunately, this was not a fun video, but I'm trying to give people behind the scenes on the process and the steps. A lot of managers don't know this is what goes into the actual steps. They just see it from their perspective, and then the people that are applying only see it from their perspective. But from beginning to end, after you accept, again, first step, orientation. Second step would typically be your shadow day. Third step is your DDC class. Fourth step is your actual training, driver training. Fifth step is going to be your academy. That's usually what happens. In between then, you may work 1 or 2 days. If they choose to bring you in on an Amazon Sunday, or they're just overwhelmed with work, or a carrier has an arm problem, they can't case their mail, whatever it is. But just so you're aware, seems like a long drawn out process, and it is a long drawn out process. I believe I was very thorough in this. And that's pretty much it. Hopefully this information was helpful to a couple people. If you know anything about me, I'm very animated in my videos, but I want to get straight to the point and tell you what the steps are behind the scenes. And how do I know this? Because my position requires me I'm underneath human resources. So this is JH. You guys have a good rest of your day.
Unexpected expenses stressing you out? Get the money you need now with Loans for Feds, a program designed specifically for federal employees. Bad credit is not a problem. Application is fast and easy with same-day approvals. Apply now.